Halloween. Taliban.
I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah. Jumpin'. Them boys up to something.
Renee Descartes was a highly influential French philosopher, scientist, and mathematician who is widely considered to be one of the most celebrated geniuses of the 17th century. His legendary experiment of presenting a geometrical point using a pair of ordered numbers, now called coordinate geometry, also kickstarted modern mathematics. The famous skepticism of Descartes that distrusted every belief but his own conscious thinking is usually credited as the terminus a quo for modern philosophy. He is also known as the father of modern philosophy. Renee Descartes was born on March 31st, 1596 in La Haye, a small town in central France which has since been renamed after him. He was the youngest of 3 children, and his mother, Jeanne Brochard, died within the first year of his life. His father, Joaquin, a council member in the provincial parliament, sent the children to live with their maternal grandmother, where they remained even after he remarried a few years later. But he was very concerned with good education and sent Renee at age 8 to a boarding school at the Jesuit College of Henry IV in La Flèche, several miles to the north, for 7 years. Descartes was a good student, although it is thought that he might have been sickly, since he didn't have to abide by the school's rigorous schedule and was instead allowed to rest in bed until mid-morning. He spent the next 4 years earning a baccalaureate in law at the University of Poitiers. Descartes later added theology and medicine to his studies. But he eschewed all this, resolving to seek no knowledge other than that of which could be found in myself or else in the great book of the world. He wrote much later in Discourse on the method of rightly conducting the reason and seeking truth in the sciences, published in 1637. So he traveled, joined the army for a brief time, saw some battles, and was introduced to the Dutch scientist and philosopher Isaac Beckman, who would become, for Descartes, a very influential teacher. A year after graduating from Poitiers, Descartes credited a series of 3 very powerful dreams or visions with determining the course of his study for the rest of his life. Descartes' goal in life was to help human beings master and possess nature. He provided understanding of the trunk of a tree of knowledge in the world, dioptrics, meteorology, and geometry, and he established its metaphysical roots in the mediations. He then spent the rest of his life working on the branches of mechanics, medicine, and morals. Mechanics is the basis of physiology and medicine, which in turn is the basis of moral psychology. Descartes believed that all material bodies, including the human body, are machines that operate by mechanical principles in his physiological studies. He also described the circulation of the blood, but came to the erroneous conclusion that heat in the heart expands the blood, causing its expulsion into the veins. In 1644, Descartes published Principles of Philosophy, a compilation of his physics and metaphysics. He dedicated this work to Princess Elizabeth, daughter of Elizabeth Stuart, titular Queen of Bohemia, in correspondence with whom he developed his moral philosophy. According to Descartes, a human being is a union of mind and body. As for mathematics, it was in La Geometria that Descartes first proposed that each point in 2 dimensions can be described by 2 numbers on a plane, one giving the point's horizontal location and the other the vertical location, which have come to be known as Cartesian coordinates. Descartes' groundbreaking work, usually referred to as analytical geometry or Cartesian geometry, had the effect of allowing the conversion of geometry into algebra and vice versa. Thus, a pair of simultaneous equations could now be solved either algebraically or graphically. It allowed the development of Newton's and Leibniz's subsequent discoveries of calculus. It also unlocked the possibility of navigating geometries of higher dimensions, impossible to physically visualize, a concept which has to become central to modern technology and physics, thus transforming mathematics forever. He also had an influential role in the development of modern physics, a role which has been, until quite recently, generally underappreciated and underinvestigated. He provided the first distinctly modern formulation of laws of nature and the conservation principle of motion, made numerous advances in optics and the study of the reflection and refraction of light, and constructed what would become the most popular theory of planetary motion of the late 17th century.
You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone, Late night when you need